changed my name, the prison population would instantly forget who I was. I liked Dolly, but she was dumb as a brick, and every time I got put in solitary, she sold something of mine in exchange for drugs. I didn't have a lot of things, so my few items were precious. Usually my deodorant went first. I sat at the table nearest the back wall of the chow hall and shoved my plate of watery eggs, soggy bread and mystery mush aside. The chow hall was a good stage for a fight. I'd seen plenty of scraps go down here. Food trays flying, scalding coffee searing faces, eggs splattering on walls. Frida, today's planned attacker, was small and wiry like me, but she had big hands for grabbing hair and gouging eyes, and a nose that looked like it had been broken more than a couple of times. I locked eyes with my challenger across the hall, and her cronies looked over their shoulders at me. Everybody in the hall knew it was on. A fight is a good distraction, so it's useful to know when one is on the cards. Fights tie up guards and direct the surveillance cameras to a certain place in the room. I knew when Frida and I got together, there would likely be other incidents around the chow hall. Someone shanked, drug deals made, a smattering of robberies of weaker inmates for food, drugs, or phone cards. A woman at the head of the queue dropped her just-received tray from chest height, spraying food everywhere, drawing over the two guards in the room to assist in the clean-up. An inciting incident to kick things off. Frida stood and started moving down the aisle towards me. I was so focused on Frida as I got up and started walking to meet her that I didn't even think about her strategy. I heard the squeak of a rubber shoe on the tiles behind me a second before an arm came around my neck. Chapter 3. I knew the second girl by her smell alone. Mel Briggs hardly ever left the smoker's corner of the yard. I reached up as she tried to drag me backwards, grabbed a fistful of her hair and twisted out of the headlock, bringing her face down on my knee. The crunch of her nose on my kneecap was like a starting gun. The women around me stood in unison, a wail of surprise, horror, excitement rising up from every mouth. I landed an uppercut to Mel's face while she was still bent double, in case she had any stupid ideas about recovering for a second run. Then I dropped her limp body on the floor. 3 seconds. Frida hadn't counted on me disposing of Mel so quickly. She had used the time to take out her shank, though, a long splinter of plexiglass wrapped in electrical tape. I'd never resorted to constructing a shank of my own in prison. I'm dirty, but I'm not a cheat. Frida swung the shank at me wide and hard, going right for the face, a novice move. If you want to fight with blades, you need to dance close, hug your victim to you, go for the fleshy parts, the stomach, thighs, flanks. I leaned back, gave the shank an inch clearance across the bridge of my nose, grabbed Frida's arm and shoulder as her balance shifted, and used her own momentum to drive her forward into a nearby table. Women watching dove out of our path. I grabbed her hair, lifted her head, and smashed her face into the table a couple of times. I could feel the impact reverberate through the steel tabletop into the legs bolted to the floor. The alarm above us had started wailing 7 seconds into the fight. Guards shouted, trying to get through the wall of women near the counter. Red lights flashed on the ceiling. 80% of the women in the room dropped flat on the floor as they were supposed to, hands over the back of their heads, fingers interlocked. But Frida wasn't giving up so easily, and neither were her friends. I turned and received a palm in the face, the force of the blow snapping my head back. I grabbed a tray and battered the new challenger away with it, fell on top of her, shoved the corner of the tray into her eye socket, and drove her head into the tiles. Frida was there when I stood up again. I took a couple of jabs in the ribs and used the fury that the pain awoke, dumping adrenaline into